at things progressing off the second solution and really getting into the formal killing of Jews and other enemies of the Nazi Empire. So again, we really are only focusing on the Holocaust portion of Nazism, but you have to remember that World War II is also going on. So as the Nazis and the German army invade the Soviet Union, they're going to run into many, many enemies of their Nazi ideology, most notably communists and more Jews. So when did the formal killings start? Even though the Nazis take control in 1933, the formal systematic killing does not begin really until 1941. Okay, so this coincides with the invasion of Russia, and then is practiced really throughout Eastern Europe, Poland, the rest of Germany. Okay, so the use of a killing squad, these special SS killing units called the Einsatzgruppend. So the Einsatzgruppen is what we're going to look at in the beginning of this notes today, and these are these mobile killing squads, and I'll show you kind of how these work. So these groups, they would follow behind the Nazi, or I'm sorry, yeah, I mean they're Nazi, the German army, and basically search out opponents of the Third Reich. Okay, mostly looking for Jews and communists. Once they find them, their sole purpose is to execute them. Now, by 1943, okay, you can see in here, 1.25 million Jews killed by the Einsatzgruppen. And again, I like to stop on this because for most people, including myself, I never even heard of the Einsatzgruppen. Yet 25%, almost 25% of all the Jews killed in the Holocaust are killed by these mobile killing squads. Okay, and hundreds of thousands of others on top of the Jews. So as you can see here, the Wehrmacht is the German army. So again, you have a military unit kind of separate from what's going on in the Holocaust. And as they invade Russia, the Einsatzgruppen just follows behind them. So you have the military invasion of Russia, and then these killing squads to basically search out civilians and execute them. Okay, most of these killing squads, again, would usher people out of the surrounding areas, okay, take them into these large, pits or ravines, tell them to undress and just execute them, and then bury the bodies. All right, and again, you could see just the massive amount of pictures and evidence we have because the Nazis documented it all, which again I always talk about in class. You think about things that you take pictures of, you're generally not ashamed of, and you just see the faces of people as they're executing, mothers with children, people waiting for their execution. So again, how this worked, they would go into the cities, surrounding towns, round people up, escort them to the forest or to, again, like ravines or ditches they would have to dig, shoot them, bury them, and move on. Okay. Again, just some of these pictures is very uncomfortable to look at. Okay, so again, before they're killing, they hand over all their possessions. Okay, remove their clothing, and then basically go and shoot one by one as they fall into these pits. And again, as I just mentioned, they counted the bodies, they took the pictures, they kept records. Okay, just again some more pictures. Babi Yar, which we'll talk about more in class, is the largest massacre in a few days, really 2 days. Almost the entire population of Beloit, 34,000 Jews murdered. Okay, forced to, again, hand over their valuables one by one, shot in the back of the head, and just kind of moved on. Again, this is some pictures from Babi Yar. It's in modern-day Ukraine. And you can see the Nazi soldiers digging through. These are all just piles of clothes, searching for some sort of valuables. Here's after the fact. This is 1943, as they went to try to find the evidence. And again, just the faces. These are all people's brothers and sisters and cousins and nephews and boyfriends and moms and dads. Just young children. You could see women holding their infants, and then they would go through after the first round and just walk through the piles and shoot anyone who was moving. So kind of midway through this, the Nazis decide to change their methods. So they're receiving reports that this is too hard on the soldiers. Again, yes, they're Nazis, but they are humans. They're suffering psychological effects, starting to question orders. Obviously, there's a huge mess of cleanup. There's a lot of cost in the ammunition. People are starting to become aware of what's going on, and they're going to kind of switch course. Okay, so this is where we look at the final solution. Okay, phase one is the shooting, which we just talked about. Okay, phase two is going to be something utilized called these gas vans. Okay, so this is where we're going to see more of the gassing. We saw gassing with the T4 program with the disabled, but this is more looking at Jews and communists in Eastern Europe. So again, as the leader of the SS, Heinrich Himmler, starts to receive many reports that the psychological effects of the shooting, they're trying to find a way that's more convenient and more less psychologically damning on the soldiers. So they're going to build these mobile gas chambers where they basically hook up a special exhaust that the diesel engine would pump the carbon monoxide from the exhaust into the back of the van and kill the victims. Okay, so they would load up these huge vans, which I'll show you here, drive to the spot where they would be dumping the bodies, and basically just go through this process. Now, again, as we see, and we'll see next week, this isn't seen as effective enough. They're going to move to the gas chambers, which we'll see at the Auschwitz and Treblinka killing centers. Okay, and it's seen as not, it's taking too much time. But it's all done at a camp, the first of the 6 death camps that we'll look at. It's called Helmo. It's right in the center of Poland. Okay, so this camp, which again, 152,000 people are going to be murdered by these gas vans. And you can see one of these vans right here. So again, this one is a little different than the camps we'll look at later. They're not coming as trainloads of people. They're basically told that they're going to be disinfected. They're going to be, transported to a new camp. Again, they undress, they pack into these vans. They had 3 of these specially constructed, airtight vans. These killing vans. The doors are sealed. Okay, and they cram them in, start it up. The tube that goes in, releasing the carbon monoxide. 10 minutes, the victims are dead. They drive 2.5 miles, dump the bodies in the forest. And this camp will be destroyed completely. There's not a lot of evidence that remained from this camp. So again, some of the issues, seeing as people start to, Jews breaking out, not considered productive enough. As you can see in quotes, only 152,000. Again, they're trying to have massive efficiency. Okay, and this is where they'll move to the more permanent facilities, which is going to be the true final solution with the gas chambers. All right. So again, they will get together outside of Berlin at a conference called the Wannsee Conference, and basically finalize their final solution of exterminating the remaining Jews left in Europe. So again, they're looking at they have 11 million Jews left in the empire, and the concentration camps will be converted to extermination camps. So Treblinka and Auschwitz and Majdanek and Belzec, and these camps we're going to look at later will all be added. The gas chambers and the crematoria will be added to these camps. So again, how this is going to be organized, you can see here it's all about efficiency. Okay, they're getting people to these new camps where they have the selection process. All right, they're just told that they're going to be, resettled. Okay, how do they get them to do this? The starvation. We looked at the ghettos. 300 calories a day. You have all this terror, and people are easier to control if they're starving. The deception. Lies constantly. The ghettos. They have to buy their own train tickets. Bring your food, bring your tools, bring your pots and pans. You're just going to a new ghetto. Again, the deception. And again, once they get there, a lot of these camps are made to look like train stations. They have the classical music playing, the orchestra playing, just very, just very thought out. And again, when you think about the first thing we looked at in this class, it's a very deliberate, systematic extermination. Okay, and there's the famous Auschwitz orchestra as people came in to the camp. So, I'll pause this. You can just kind of read some of these horrible accounts of riding on these trains. So we'll start to get into this the mass movement of people out of the ghettos to the extermination camps. And these cattle cars made for cows that are just going to bring massive amounts of people to these killing centers. And we will pick up next time and look at the 5 remaining extermination camps and really how this final solution is going to be executed. All right, see you guys.